Have you wondered why you've got your nan's eyes or your dad's height? It's all thanks to genetics, the study of how traits get passed down through families. But how do we keep track of these traits over generations? That's where pedigree charts come in handy. Think of them like family trees, but instead of just names and dates, they use symbols for each person and their genes. Squares for males, circles for females, all connected by lines that show family relationships. A coloured-in square or circle means someone has a particular trait we're looking at, while an uncoloured one means they don't. These charts are like treasure maps, showing hidden patterns and helping us understand how traits, even diseases, are passed down. Pedigree charts are super important in genetics. They let us see complicated family histories, spot inheritance patterns, and even guess the chances of a trait popping up in future generations. By studying these charts, geneticists and genetic counselors can give families valuable info about their risk for certain genetic conditions and help them make smart choices about family planning. Our cells have 23 pairs of chromosomes, which carry our genes. Autosomal inheritance is all about the traits on the first 22 pairs, called autosomes. These traits are passed down from parents to kids, no matter if they're boys or girls. Let's look at the two main types, dominant and recessive. Autosomal dominant inheritance is like a really strong gene. It only needs one copy to show up. Imagine a parent with a single gene for brown eyes. Even if the other parent has the gene for blue eyes, their kids are likely to have brown eyes because the brown eye gene is dominant. Huntington's disease, a brain problem, is an example of this. Autosomal recessive inheritance needs two copies of the gene, one from each parent, for the trait to show up. Cystic fibrosis, which affects the lungs and digestion, is like this. If both parents carry one copy of the cystic fibrosis gene, their child has a 1 in 4 chance of getting both copies and having the condition. The 23rd pair of chromosomes decides if we're male or female. Women have 2 X chromosomes, XX, while men have 1 X and 1 Y, XY. Sex-linked inheritance is about traits carried on these chromosomes, especially the X chromosome. There's X-linked dominant and X-linked recessive. In X-linked dominant, one copy of the gene on the X chromosome is enough to cause the trait. Fragile X syndrome, which can cause intellectual disability, is an example. Because women have 2 X chromosomes, they're more likely to get and show X-linked dominant disorders. X-linked recessive needs 2 copies of the gene in women, but only 1 in men. This is because men only have 1 X chromosome. Hemophilia, a bleeding problem, and red-green color blindness are examples. These are more common in men because they only need 1 copy of the gene from their mother to be affected. Mitochondrial inheritance, a mother's legacy. Besides the 23 pairs of chromosomes, our cells have other DNA in the mitochondria, the powerhouses of the cell. Mitochondrial inheritance is special because it only comes from the mother. A father's mitochondrial DNA isn't passed on. Leber's hereditary optic neuropathy, an eye problem, is an example. If a mother has it, all her kids will get it because their mitochondria only come from her. Fathers don't pass it on. The power of pedigrees, applications and future implications. Pedigree charts are way more than just family trees. They're powerful tools for genetic counseling, research, and personalized medicine. By looking at them, geneticists can figure out the risk of genetic disorders. Families with a history of certain conditions can learn about their chances of having a child with the same thing. They can also spot people who carry genetic mutations. Even if someone doesn't have symptoms, they might carry a recessive gene that could be passed on. Pedigree charts can also help tailor medical care. Knowing someone's genetic risks can guide preventive measures, early detection, and personalized treatments. As genetic research gets better, pedigree analysis will be even more important in healthcare. By combining pedigree info with genetic testing and other medical data, we can develop better diagnostic tools, predict disease risk more accurately, and develop targeted therapies based on a person's unique genes. Understanding your family history isn't just about tracing your roots, It's about understanding your genetic legacy and using that knowledge to make informed choices about your health and the health of future generations.
Want to rise to your full potential in your studies and revise like a boss? You can trust Study Guide Today to have you covered. Subscribe to this channel and see our website linked in the description of this video to see revision articles to maximize your study gains.